My name is Alex. I am working as a production runner on a high-end TV drama. Production runner is essentially, a lot of people would say it's just getting tea and coffee, but for me it's been a lot more than that. It's sort of helping around the office, in the production office. I do get people's lunches and I do make tea and coffee and stuff, but they get me doing all sorts of things, helping out with a lot of production paperwork. I think I've been very lucky in that they're really generous in what they allow me to do, and they really want to teach me and help me learn, and they show me how to do things, even if I'm not, if it's sort of too important to leave to someone new, they still show me through it. And if I have any questions, they help. And there's been a variety of things. So not just being a production runner, they've also let me go and floor run, and they've let me sort of liaise with actors. And I do a lot of delivering things. I go to different places, go visit set, visit unit bases that are around, and even visit like a camera sort of company and collect some parts we need, that sort of thing. So just doing anything that is needed. My journey to becoming a production runner was I left school and I was sort of unsure about what I wanted to do, and I started making YouTube videos with my friend, and that's how I realized I wanted to go into something sort of production-y, making some sort of video content in some form. So I started a media production course at Bournemouth University, and that was a sort of a really broad course where you could do all sorts of things. There was script writing, they taught us how to use cameras, there was editing, and anything you wanted to do you could specialize more into. And I learned sort of basics of roles and stuff on film sets, or short film sets at least. I graduated during the pandemic. I had a little trouble because I didn't really know anyone. I didn't almost know where to start. It felt a bit like the course was really good, but then they didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to deal with it. We were supposed to do lots of these networking events and really sort of get in the industry a little bit and meet people and, learn how to start, but we missed out on that because of just circumstances out of our control. And I lived down in Dorset. I felt a bit isolated from London, where it seemed like everything was happening, and I just was so unsure of how to break into the industry. So eventually I got into my first job in film, and I started applying to things. I also, at the same time, I applied to a prop house, and it's not production, but it's sort of related. So I thought, maybe I could get to know people there and that might help. I started that job and I moved up to Hatfield, which is just north of London. And I thought, if I'm sort of in the proximity, and I started to meet a few people. Yeah, I started applying properly once I'd sort of settled on my first job in film. Just one day, I was actually off my other job and I got a call from a random sort of mobile number, and it was the line producer for the ITV show. They basically said, "We like the look of your CV. Do you want to have sort of a Zoom interview, and we'll see if you're the right person for the job," because it's not necessarily a skilled role. It's sort of very much a learning entry role. So you don't need a degree like I have. Perhaps it helped me stand out just because I thought I'd have some familiarity with it all. But they were mostly interested in what sort of person I was, as to whether I would get on with everyone in the office, if I was nice, if I was, happy, willing to help, not going to just come in the office and hide away to myself and not help people, and get involved and not try and help the office run as well as possible. The most surprising thing about being a production runner is probably just how nice people actually are. I always had this idea of the industry that sort of people were stepping on each other a bit to get to the top, and there wasn't sort of an easy way in where people would be actively trying to help you, but that has not been the case. Everyone I've met pretty much has been really genuinely nice and offered to help me and help me develop, even the lead actor. And you get this impression from the outside that maybe actors and directors and stuff aren't helpful, but on the days I've been on set, I'm interested in screenwriting and directing, and he allowed me to sort of shadow him and see what he's doing and ask questions, and even sort of ask my opinion on shots and stuff. It's I can't believe how sort of welcoming everyone is, and how sort of understanding they are that you're just learning and just starting out, and how intimidating it can all be, because you step onto these sets, or even coming into the office or meeting just the number of people I meet every day, just doing errands or going onto, say I go onto set or unit base, or even being at the production base. You just meet all sorts of people. There's deliveries coming, there's all the various teams, if you just meet the construction crew, you're meeting, 10, 15 people, and it's it can be intimidating. Just, I think people understand that because most of them have come up that way themselves, so they understand what you're going through, and they're very helpful and kind. The hardest part of breaking into the industry is probably actually getting the first job, in my experience. It took me quite a while to actually get someone to sort of take a chance on me. I think that might be because of how many people want these roles. Obviously, it's a growing industry that's quite dynamic, and though lots of roles come up because new productions are starting and finishing all the time, I think that a lot of people are going for them. So I think you have to be lucky to an extent, but I think you also have to sort of polish up your CV and your cover letter to make yourself really stand out, because I had just redone my CV just before I got this job, so I think that probably whatever I did to it, tried to make it stand out a little more and not just be blocks of text on a page. I sort of went in and redesigned it a bit, and with some advice from some of my friends who'd recently got jobs in the industry, I sort of changed the way I was presenting myself rather than, obviously didn't change the content because My advice for people going onto my first job in film for the first time and trying to get jobs would be to just really throw yourself into it and apply to as many things as you can, because even if you're rejected, you can learn things. Sometimes you get feedback. Sometimes I got a couple of emails from people who gave some sort of feedback on why I hadn't been successful. A lot of the time you won't, but I think that just actually writing cover letters and sort of tailoring your CV to whatever the job is can teach you things, and just keep refining it until you get it right. Also, being on the website and maybe looking at jobs you maybe didn't even consider before, like different roles that are adjacent to maybe what you want to do, could be another way in. I think that, pigeonholing yourself too much right at the start is maybe a mistake, because you might not know everything that's available, and there could be great things just around the corner that you need to take a chance on and can be rewarded for doing so. My top 3 pieces of advice for people trying to break into the industry would be to be bold, to make friends, and to make stuff. Just keep making stuff. Being bold is important. I think you need to just sort of put yourself out there. I felt like for a long time I was sort of paralyzed and almost scared to apply to the jobs because I was scared of the rejection. And it wasn't something I was thinking about, but I realized sort of subconsciously it felt like such a chore to apply because I was just afraid of failing, I think. And that was just an easier way to deal with it, is to go, I've got to redo my CV, I've got to redo, to do the cover letter or whatever it is. I think you just need to be bold and not be afraid of failure. Just take chances, apply to everything, and just see what happens. You never know if you're going to get lucky. It might seem unlikely, you might feel like you're underqualified for something, but if someone's willing to take a chance, or there's just something in what you've done that makes them think you could do the role, then you might be lucky. And then making friends, I think, is important. Just that goes for before you've got the job and when you've got a job. Is just, if you're nice, you just get rewarded in whatever way it is. People gravitate towards you, and it's the kind of industry where who you know is important, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that hopefully the good, nice people, the friendly people, the people you'd want to work with are the ones who keep getting jobs, because they are respectful to others, they treat people nicely, and they still get the job done. I think it's how you get into the industry is by being friendly, and how you also keep staying in the industry is by treating others with respect and kindness. And then the last point is to just keep making things, because even when you don't have a job, it might feel like you're a little stranded. It might feel like you can't do anything to better your CV because you can't get that first job, but you can these days, this day and age, you can make things on your own. You can make little things, and you could, have a website that could be linked on your CV, and you could post these things, you could blog about them, you could post things on YouTube and have a link to them or something, and it just shows that you are up for it. And even if you're not getting paid, you're still creating. And I think depending on the role you want, that is quite attractive to employers. Yeah, just keep making stuff.